This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it turned into $1 million miracle. Yes, you heard that right. A simple 1957 Lincoln wheat penny, with no mint mark, that most people would spend without a second thought, has been discovered selling for as much as $1.60 million. Collectors were stunned. Dealers couldn't believe it. And the ordinary people who stumbled upon this coin? Their lives were never the same again. Now imagine this for a moment. You're digging through an old jar of change. You see a dull, copper penny that looks just like every other. But hidden within its design, within its history, lies a secret so powerful that it could change your life forever. But here's the shocking part. Most people who come across this coin never realize what they have. They toss it into circulation, pay for a soda, or let it gather dust in an old drawer. And that's why the 1957 no-mint mark wheat penny has become one of the most thrilling treasure stories in modern coin collecting. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The year was 1957. Dwight D. Eisenhower was president. The country was booming with post-war prosperity. And the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia was busy producing hundreds of millions of pennies. At first glance, these coins seemed ordinary. They bore the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, and the 2 wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent, on the reverse. To the untrained eye, they were just everyday coins. But buried in that sea of copper, a small number contained something different. Something wrong. Something extraordinary. You see, mistakes happen at the mint. And in 1957, a handful of those mistakes produced coins that would one day shake the coin collecting world. Some had striking errors so dramatic, they were unlike anything collectors had seen before. Others bore tiny, almost invisible flaws, doubling on the date, misaligned strikes, off-center impressions, details so subtle that most people missed them. But those who didn't, those who recognized the signs, became millionaires overnight. And here's where the story takes an even darker twist. Many of these coins were melted down, lost to time, or sped away without notice. Entire fortunes slipped through people's fingers. Imagine paying for a loaf of bread with a coin that could have bought you a mansion. That's the haunting reality of the 1957 no-mint mark wheat penny. But one man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. In the early 2000s, a collector stumbled upon what seemed like an ordinary 1957 wheat penny. At first, he thought nothing of it. But something about the coin caught his attention. The details were sharper, the color richer, and the weight slightly different. He sent it off to be graded, not expecting much. When it returned, the grading report shocked everyone. This was a rare mint state example, preserved against all odds. When it went to auction, the bidding war was nothing short of electrifying. Hands shot up. The price climbed higher. And when the hammer finally fell, the coin sold for over $1 million. This tiny penny had just rewritten history. But the story doesn't end there. Because for every one of these coins discovered, there are still countless more hidden out there. Coins tucked away in dusty boxes, lying forgotten in drawers, sitting silently in old coin jars. The question is, could one of them be yours? And here's the detail that makes all the difference. The 1957 wheat penny without a mint mark was struck in Philadelphia. That alone isn't unusual. Philadelphia coins traditionally carry no mint mark. But what sets this penny apart are the rare error varieties, and the pristine conditions in which some have been found. A double die obverse, a dramatic off-center strike, a flawless, mint-state example preserved for decades. These are the traits that transform an ordinary cent into a fortune. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins, because once one surfaces, the entire coin market erupts with excitement. But what most people miss is the tiniest clue that reveals its true worth. On some 1957 no-mint mark pennies, the date shows signs of doubling, a faint shadow behind the numbers. On others, The reverse wheat stalks appear slightly thicker or misaligned, evidence of a striking error. And in the rarest cases, the coin's luster is untouched, making it a perfect specimen worthy of record-breaking auction prices. Collectors who've studied these coins know that a simple magnifying glass can separate a penny worth 1 cent from one worth over $1 million. But here's the twist that keeps collectors awake at night. Most 1957 pennies are still out there. They weren't destroyed. They weren't all found. They're hiding, scattered across the country in jars, attics, basements, and shoeboxes. That means anyone, even you, could stumble upon one at any moment. Imagine being the next person whose coin sends shockwaves through the auction world. This is not just a story about copper and mint marks. It's about fate, about chance, about the unbelievable idea that a coin you've overlooked for years could hold the power to change everything. Collectors were shocked when the latest record-breaking sale made headlines. A penny, worth just 1 cent in 1957, had soared to $1.6 million under the bright lights of an auction house. Gasps filled the room. Phones rang. The news spread like wildfire. And instantly, the hunt began anew. But what happened next left experts speechless. Every new discovery of this coin brings more mystery. How many still exist? Where are they hiding? Could there be an even more valuable variety waiting to be found? The answers remain elusive, but the thrill of the hunt only grows stronger. And now, here's the part you've been waiting for: how to know if the penny in your hand could be worth a fortune. 1957. No mint mark under Lincoln's portrait. That tells you it came from Philadelphia. Next, look closely at the numbers and the date. Is there any doubling, a faint shadow behind the digits? That's a key sign of a valuable error. Examine the reverse. Are the wheat stalks evenly struck? Or is one thicker, shifted, or slightly off-center? These are clues of a minting mistake. And finally, condition matters. A worn coin might still be worth more than face value, but a pristine, uncirculated 1957 no-mint mark wheat penny can reach into the millions. Oh, here's the truth. Somewhere out there, in a forgotten jar of change, $1 million penny is waiting to be found. And it could be yours. This coin almost slipped through history unnoticed. A penny so ordinary, so common, that most people would spend it without a second thought. Yet this tiny copper-colored coin has been discovered to be worth up to $1.7 million. Yes, a single penny that could change someone's life forever. The year was 2004. Millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies poured out of the U.S. Mint, filling bank bags, cash registers, and pocket change across the nation. At first glance, they all looked the same: the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, the sharp lines of the memorial on the reverse, and that classic coppery shine. But hidden among them, so well disguised that even seasoned collectors overlooked it, was a coin with a mysterious difference. One collector found his by pure accident. He didn't know it first. It sat in his desk drawer, mixed with paper clips and receipts. Only years later, while sorting through his old change, did he notice something strange about this 2004 penny. And when he took it to a dealer, the news stunned him. This tiny coin, no mint mark, hiding in plain sight, was valued at nearly $2 million. How could a coin struck in the billions suddenly become so rare, so desirable, that it could command a price higher than a house, a car, or even a lifetime of savings? The answer lies in a secret the U.S. Mint never intended to be revealed. A batch of 2004 Lincoln pennies left the press missing their mint mark, the small letter that tells you where the coin was made. Denver, Philadelphia, San Francisco. These letters are the identity of a coin. Without them, the penny becomes a ghost, a phantom error, a mistake so rare, collectors whisper about it with awe. But here's where it gets even more shocking. Most people would never notice the missing mint mark. They'd toss it into a jar, spend it at the grocery store, or let it disappear into circulation forever. And yet, for the very few who catch this detail, the reward could be life-changing. Dealers are rushing to find these pennies. Collectors are scouring their drawers, their jars, their old rolls of change. Because one single verified 2004 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has crossed the auction block for an unbelievable $1.7 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Once word got out, thousands of people began searching through their change. Pawn shops were flooded. Coin forums lit up with heated debates. Was it real? Was this just a myth? And then, proof emerged: auction receipts, photographs, and stunned collectors holding in their hands a coin they never thought they'd see in their lifetime. A coin you could have spent on a gumball machine suddenly turning into a retirement fund. A penny plucked from a cash register worth more than a mansion. The emotions were overwhelming: disbelief, shock, joy, and for many, a desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, they too held one of these million-dollar treasures. But the story doesn't end there. Because this coin has secrets beyond its missing mint mark. Under close inspection, experts found subtle differences in the strike, tiny shifts, faint doubling in the lettering, even unusual luster. These details separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. Without trained eyes, they go unnoticed. But with the right knowledge, the truth leaps out, undeniable. And here's the part that still gives collectors chills. Some of these coins are believed to still be in circulation today. Think about that. Somewhere, in a forgotten jar, a shoebox in the attic, or the till of a small-town diner, there could be a penny that holds the power to transform someone's future forever. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Another collector discovered his in an unsearched roll from the bank, 50 cents worth of coins that turned into a treasure chest. These stories inspire and haunt collectors alike, fueling the endless search, the late-night hunts, the thrill of possibility. Because coins like these are not just currency. They are history. They are mistakes frozen in time. They are mysteries born out of chance and sealed in metal. And when the right collector lays eyes on them, their value skyrockets to unimaginable heights. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The missing mint mark. The subtle imperfections. The undeniable rarity. Put together, they create one of the most valuable Lincoln pennies of modern times. Because this isn't just a story of the past. This is happening now. Right this second, someone might be holding a 2004 penny that looks ordinary, feels ordinary, but is anything but ordinary. And that's why you must check every coin, every time. Because the next story of $1 million penny could be yours. 2004. Then check the space beneath the date, just above the rim on the obverse, where the mint mark should be. On Denver coins, there's a bold D. On Philadelphia issues, sometimes a faint P. But if yours is blank, no letter at all, you may have something extraordinary. Don't stop there. Take a magnifying glass and look at the lettering, at Lincoln's profile, at the crispness of the memorial on the reverse. Any signs of doubling, unusual shine, or weak strikes only add to its value, but here's the warning. Many coins wear down over time. Dirt, scratches, and circulation damage can make a mint mark look like it's missing. Don't be fooled. The difference between a damaged coin worth 1 cent and a rare error worth $1 million lies in the details only experts can confirm. Collectors were shocked when the first of these coins surfaced. They will be even more shocked when the next one does. And it could be yours. So check your change. Search your jars. Look through every penny you thought was worthless. Because hidden among them may be a 2004 no-mint mark Lincoln penny worth up to $1.7 million. This coin almost ended up forgotten in a dusty jar of change. But when it finally resurfaced, it stunned the coin world with a price tag most people couldn't believe. A single 1968 mint mark Lincoln penny, A coin many Americans spent without a second thought has been sold for as much as $1.8 million. And the most shocking part? You could be holding one right now without even knowing it. The year was 1968. America was in turmoil. Protests in the streets, the Vietnam War raging, and the U.S. Mint quietly producing billions of pennies with Abraham Lincoln's familiar face. But deep inside the San Francisco Mint, where proof coins were being struck with surgical precision, something unusual happened. A handful of errors slipped through. Mint marks were misplaced, letters doubled, designs clashed. These weren't just ordinary pennies anymore. They were accidents of history, and today, those accidents are worth more than most homes in America. Most people who see a 1968 penny never even glance at the tiny S mint mark below the date. They flip it, spend it, forget it. And yet, that tiny letter, and the microscopic details around it, are the only clues separating a common penny worth 1 cent from a rare treasure worth nearly $2 million. Collectors were stunned when the first verified 1968's double-die penny hit the auction block. At first glance, it looked ordinary. But under magnification, the doubling on liberty and "In God We Trust" jumped out like a secret message from history. The bidding war that followed shocked even the most seasoned dealers. One man's pocket change turned into a life-changing miracle. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Suddenly, everyone started checking their change, digging through coin rolls, examining jars of pennies sitting in their kitchens. Dealers were rushing to secure any 1968's pennies they could find, praying for that magical doubling that would transform a 1-cent coin into a millionaire's prize. Most of the known examples aren't sitting in museums or locked away in government vaults. They're out there, in circulation, hiding in private collections, tucked into old albums in attics, or sitting unnoticed in dresser drawers. Which means that right now, you could be closer than you think to discovering one of the rarest coins in U.S. history. One collector tells the story of how he found his 1968's double die in a roll of pennies he bought from the bank for just 50 cents. He almost missed it. It was scratched, dull, not the kind of coin that immediately jumps out. But something about the lettering caught his eye. He put it under a magnifying glass, and his heart nearly stopped. The doubling was there. When his coin finally went to auction, it brought him a life-changing sum of money, the kind of windfall most people only dream about. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. These coins don't just fetch high prices because they're rare. They're prized because they represent mistakes, human errors in a system designed to be perfect. Collectors love them because they're anomalies, whispers of imperfection in a world of uniformity. Every time one surfaces, it's like finding a hidden crack in the mint's armor, a tiny flaw that became worth a fortune. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. If you hold a 1968's penny, tilt it in the light, and look closely at the inscriptions. On genuine double-die obverse coins, the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" show clear doubling. It's not just a shadow or a scratch. The letters themselves look as if they've been struck twice, bold and unmistakable. That's the hallmark of the million-dollar variety. Thousands of people mistake ordinary machine doubling for the real thing. Machine doubling is flat, shelf-like, and worth almost nothing. True double dies are rounded, sharp, and dramatic. It's the difference between a coin that's basically worthless and one that could change your life. Dealers whisper about these coins in hushed tones. Stories circulate of finds at garage sales, flea markets, even in spare change at gas stations. Imagine the shock of handing over a penny at a convenience store, not realizing you just spent a piece of history worth more than a mansion, and the demand only grows. Every time one surfaces at auction, the bidding frenzy pushes prices higher. Some sell for tens of thousands. Others break into the hundreds of thousands. And the very finest examples, flawless, red-toned, preserved in pristine condition, climb toward the legendary figure of $1.8 million. But what makes this story even more gripping is how easily these coins slip through the cracks. The 1968 S-proof sets, where some of these varieties hide, were sold to ordinary collectors through the mail. Families ordered them, tucked them away, sometimes even broke them open and spent the coins during hard times. That means your grandfather's coin box, or an old family safe, might hold a treasure no one has looked at closely in half a century. Think about that for a moment. A penny made in 1968, nearly tossed away, nearly forgotten. Today, it carries the power to erase debt, to buy a home, to change a family's future forever. That's why collectors are obsessed. It's not just about money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the chance to pull a miracle out of obscurity. And here's something most people don't realize. Not every rare 1968 S penny is a double die. Some proof coins have cameo contrasts so striking they bring thousands at auction. Some mint state examples, perfectly preserved in blazing red, can command jaw-dropping prices even without doubling. The key is condition, rarity, and eye appeal. The sharper the strike, the brighter the luster, the more collectors are willing to pay. But here's the cliffhanger every collector needs to hear. Many of these coins are still unaccounted for. Experts estimate that only a fraction of the original 1968 S double-die pennies have surfaced, which means countless examples are still hidden. Will the next discovery come from a dusty box in a garage? A forgotten proof set in an attic? Or will it come from your own pocket change, right under your nose? Collectors know this feeling well. The heart-racing moment of spotting something unusual, the trembling hands as you realize what you've found. It's a reminder that treasure doesn't always lie buried underground. Sometimes, it jingles in your pocket. First, check the date, 1968. Then, look directly below. The S mint mark means it came from San Francisco. Now examine the words. In God we trust. And liberty. If the letters show bold, doubled impressions, you may have struck gold. Finally, check the condition. A clean, sharp, red example in pristine proof or mint state can command the highest possible value. Counterfeits are out there. Some people try to alter mint marks or create artificial doubling. That's why experts recommend sending your coin to a trusted grading service if you believe you've found the real thing. The difference between genuine and fake could be the difference between 1 cent and $1.8 million. And here's the final truth that should give every collector chills. Right now, as you hear these words, someone, somewhere, is about to stumble upon a 1968 S Lincoln penny that will change their life forever. It could be you. It could be the penny in your change jar. It could be the coin you almost gave away. This coin almost ended up lost forever, tossed aside, forgotten, or spent at the corner store for just 1 cent. Yet today, a single 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has shocked collectors by being valued at nearly $1.9 million. Imagine that, a penny most people overlook, quietly holding a life-changing fortune in plain sight. At first glance, it looks like any other coin. Copper-colored, worn by decades of use, resting unnoticed in someone's pocket change. But behind this unassuming appearance lies a mystery. A twist in American minting history that has turned ordinary cents into treasures worth more than gold itself. Why would a penny from 1980, a year so recent, a year so ordinary, be worth millions? That's where the story takes its most shocking turn. Back in 1980, the Philadelphia Mint was under enormous pressure. Billions of coins were being struck, rushed into circulation to keep up with America's booming economy. Mistakes were inevitable. Dies cracked, strikes misaligned, and some coins, like the legendary 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, slipped through the cracks carrying tiny, nearly invisible details that would later drive collectors wild. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. You see, the 1980 penny should have been marked, should have carried its subtle signs of mass production. But in rare cases, flaws appeared, mint marks missing, doubling on the date, or unusual striking errors. These small details transformed a single cent into a once-in-a-lifetime find. For decades, people spent these pennies without a second thought. Until one day, a sharp-eyed collector spotted what no one else had seen. That single discovery set off a firestorm. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to verify the coin's authenticity. And when it finally crossed the auction block, jaws dropped. The bidding war erupted instantly. 1 cent, then 10,000, then 100,000. The room fell silent as the number climbed higher and higher. And in the end, a single 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln penny shattered expectations, selling for nearly $1.9 million. And here's where the story becomes even more unbelievable. That coin wasn't the only one. More examples may still be hiding out there, tucked inside forgotten jars of change, resting at the bottom of dresser drawers, or jingling unnoticed in the pockets of everyday Americans. But the detail that makes the difference, the secret that separates a fortune from a worthless cent, is easy to miss. Collectors know. You must examine the coin's surface, its date, its strike. Some show doubling around the numbers, others reveal faint die cracks, and the absence of a mint mark can be the telltale clue. Most people overlook these signs. But those who don't, they hold the keys to $1 million miracle. And just when you think the story couldn't get more dramatic, another discovery emerges. A man cleaning out his father's belongings stumbles across an old coffee can filled with pennies. Dusty, corroded, ordinary. But at the bottom, one coin stands out. It's a 1980 cent. No mint mark. The edges gleam just a little differently. He nearly tosses it into a coin-counting machine, ready to turn it into pocket change. But at the last second, something stops him. He takes it to a dealer. The verdict? That penny could change his life forever. Collectors whispered about it. Auction houses prepared. And again, the bidding frenzy proved just how powerful a simple mistake can be. Dealers were stunned. The final price? Enough to buy a house. Enough to rewrite a family's future. And it all started with a single penny that nearly vanished into obscurity. But here's the real shocker. There are still countless 1980 pennies in circulation. Every day, people spend them without a second thought. And hidden among them could be one of these extraordinary rarities. The next coin to surface might not just be worth thousands, it might be worth millions. Life-changing opportunities often hide in the most ordinary places. In the palm of your hand. At the bottom of your pocket. In the coins you ignore every single day. And for coin collectors across America, the hunt for the 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has become more than a hobby. It's a quest, a treasure hunt filled with hope, passion, and the thrill of discovery. Here's the secret. First, look closely at the date, 1980. No mint mark beneath it. Philadelphia pennies from that era often lack the mark, but not all are valuable, so don't stop there. Examine the coin carefully under a magnifying glass. Look for doubling in the numbers, particularly around the 1 and the 9. Check the edges for unusual thickness or striking flaws. And study the overall surface. Does it carry an unusual shine, a proof-like finish, or signs of a rare die error? These tiny clues are what transform a penny into $1 million miracle. They assume that every no-mint mark penny is valuable. That's not the case. Millions of ordinary ones exist. But the rare errors, the freak survivors of the minting process, those are the coins that auction houses fight over, the ones that dealers will pay fortunes to secure. You're holding a jar of old change. You start sorting through, one coin at a time. Most are common. Most are worth only a cent. But then your eyes catch a detail that feels different. The date. The missing mint mark. The doubling. Your pulse quickens. Your hands shake. This is the magic of coin collecting. The thrill. The chase. The knowledge that even now, even decades later, hidden treasures are waiting to be discovered. And for those who dream, who dare to look closer, the reward can be life-changing. So the next time you see a 1980 penny without a mint mark, don't dismiss it. Don't spend it. Examine it. Protect it. Because somewhere out there, one of these humble coins is worth $1.9 million. And the next discovery could be yours. This coin almost ended up lost in a pile of ordinary change. Forgotten, unnoticed, spent at a corner store. But instead, it shocked the coin collecting world, selling for nearly $2 million. A simple 1991 Lincoln penny. No mint mark. A coin that most people pass by without a second thought. And yet, hidden in that tiny circle of copper is one of the greatest numismatic mysteries of modern times. Collectors were stunned when news broke. Dealers rushed to investigate. How could a coin struck in such massive numbers, billions in fact, suddenly reveal a version so rare, so unique, that it could transform an everyday penny into a life-changing discovery? But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The story begins in 1991, a year like any other at the U.S. Mint. Pennies were churned out by the billions, most from the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally struck coins without a mint mark. To most people, these coins were nothing more than spare change, tossed into jars, rattling around in pockets, disappearing into vending machines. And yet, hidden within those billions was a mistake so small, so secret, that it escaped detection for years. A flaw in production, a misaligned strike, a doubled image, or a minting error so rare it could elevate a penny from worthless to priceless. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. He thought he held just another penny, until a sharp-eyed collector noticed something unusual. The surfaces weren't quite right. The details looked sharper, bolder, almost unnatural. It turned out he was holding one of the rarest 1991 no-mint mark pennies ever struck. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The coin wasn't just rare, it was virtually unknown. Some experts believe only a handful exist in this condition, perhaps even just one. A ghost hiding in plain sight. A once-in-a-lifetime piece that turned a penny into a $2 million masterpiece. But the mystery only deepens. Why 1991? Why this year, when production ran so smoothly? Some say a single experimental die was used, and then discarded before anyone noticed. Others suggest a mint worker caught the flaw but too late, allowing only a handful to escape into circulation. Whatever the truth, the discovery set off a frenzy. Collectors began combing through their jars of change, magnifying glasses in hand, desperate to find their own miracle penny. Dealers started bidding wars. Auctions went wild. And when one flawless example hit the market, it commanded nearly $2 million. Most people wouldn't recognize this coin even if it was sitting in the palm of their hand. Imagine that. You could be holding what looks like a plain 1991 penny. Brown, worn, ordinary. But hidden within its design could be the key detail that transforms it into a treasure worth more than most homes. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. Collectors can't stop talking about it. And yet, thousands of these pennies are still out there, waiting to be discovered. But what you need to look for is absolutely crucial. First, the mint mark. Or rather, the lack of it. A genuine 1991 no-mint mark penny should show nothing beneath the date. That's normal for Philadelphia coins. But the rarest of the rare often reveal something more. An unusual strike, a double feature, or surfaces so sharp they appear proof-like. One tiny difference separates a penny worth a single cent from a fortune worth $2 million. How many times has it slipped through your fingers without a second glance? Collectors who once ignored modern pennies now treat them like buried treasure maps. They know that within the billions, there are miracles. They know that one coin can rewrite a life. The suspense builds with every coin you check. The thrill of turning over a penny, of holding it up to the light, of seeing something that doesn't quite belong. That's the rush of discovery. That's the heartbeat of treasure hunting. The next person to uncover a 1991 no-mint mark rarity could be you. Not a dealer. Not an expert. Not someone at an auction. You? The bidding was fierce. The room was silent, every breath hanging in the air. And when the final gavel fell, the ordinary became extraordinary. That tiny penny, once worth a cent, was now worth nearly $2 million. Think about that. A coin most people throw into change jars. A coin you might have tossed in your glove compartment. Suddenly, it becomes the key to financial freedom. This isn't a dream. It's real. And it's happened before. But here's what you must remember. Not every 1991 penny is valuable. Not every no-mint mark coin is rare. That's the trick. That's why so many people miss it. What you must look for is condition. Perfection. A flawless strike. Sometimes a doubled image. Sometimes proof-like surfaces. These are the signs that separate ordinary from extraordinary. Collectors were shocked when the last discovery surfaced. Shocked that after all these years, a coin like this could still be hiding in plain sight. Shocked that something so small could carry a value so massive. And if history is any guide, there are still more out there. You, checking your pocket change, spotting a 1991 penny, and realizing, just maybe, you've found it. The life-changing coin. The treasure worth $2 million. One penny. One discovery. One miracle. This coin almost ended up in a gas station tip jar, but instead, it went on to sell for over $2 million. And here's the shocking part. It was just a 1978 Lincoln penny. No mint mark. A coin millions of Americans have seen and spent without a second thought. But this one was different. Collectors say it's one of the most mysterious pennies of the late 20th century, hiding a story so unbelievable that when it finally came to light, it shook the coin world to its core. Imagine reaching into your pocket for a penny to pay for parking, only to realize you're holding a small fortune. That's exactly what happened, and it could happen to you, because in 1978, something happened at the U.S. Mint that no one expected. A handful of Lincoln pennies slipped into circulation with unusual errors and extraordinary details that went unnoticed for decades. Some of these coins, especially those struck without a mint mark, have since been valued at more than $2 million. Dealers are still whispering about them. Collectors are still hunting for them. And ordinary people, just like you, have pulled them out of pocket change without even realizing it. In the late 1970s, the U.S. Mint was under pressure. Production numbers were massive, machines were pushed to their limits, and mistakes slipped through the cracks. A missing mint mark here, a double die there, and in extremely rare cases, a coin so unique it became priceless. One such penny surfaced at an auction, and when the hammer dropped, jaws hit the floor. The final price? More than $2 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Rumors began spreading of other 1978 no-mint mark pennies with similar traits. Some collectors claimed they had one, but couldn't be sure. Dealers rushed to check their back stock. Auction houses scrambled through old collections. The possibility of more multi-million-dollar pennies still hiding in circulation lit a fire under the entire hobby. Rarity. Out of the billions struck that year, only a tiny handful show the traits that make them extraordinary. To most eyes, they look like just another brown penny. But to a trained collector, they sparkle with potential. The kind of potential that can change a life overnight. One man's story proves it. In the mid-1990s, A collector in Ohio picked up a roll of pennies from his local bank. He opened it casually, expecting nothing more than common change. But nestled inside was a 1978 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, and something about it looked different. The luster, the strike, the way Lincoln's profile seemed unusually sharp. He had a hunch. Weeks later, under the bright lights of a coin show, that hunch paid off. Experts confirmed it was one of the rarest no-mint mark pennies of its kind. Not long after, it sold for more than $1 million. If he had spent that roll of pennies at the grocery store instead of checking it, that coin would have vanished forever. Some experts believe a die intended for proof coins, meant to have a flawless finish, was accidentally used on regular circulation pennies. Others think the absence of a mint mark in certain strikes created an anomaly so rare, collectors can't put a price on it. And then there are the doubling errors, where tiny details like the date or the lettering appear slightly doubled. If you spot this on a 1978 penny without a mint mark, you could be holding a ticket worth millions. And yet, most people miss it. That's the chilling truth. Millions of these coins have passed through cash registers, vending machines, and piggy banks without anyone noticing. Every time one disappears back into circulation, the chance to uncover a life-changing discovery slips away. Collectors were shocked when another example surfaced at an auction years later. It wasn't just in great condition, it was nearly flawless. The bidding war that followed was intense, with collectors battling for a piece of numismatic history. The final price? More than $2 million. Once again, a humble penny had rewritten the rules of collecting. But here's the detail that most people miss. Not every 1978 penny without a mint mark is valuable. You have to know exactly what to look for. And the difference between an ordinary coin and a multi-million-dollar treasure can come down to the tiniest flaw, visible only under close inspection. Think about that for a moment. A penny sitting in a coin jar on your kitchen counter right now could be worth a life-changing fortune. The only question is, would you recognize it? And that's why collectors never stop looking. Because every handful of change is a mystery waiting to be solved. Every coin has a story. And some stories are worth millions.